So in this segment, we're going to be talking about how Brexit has brought problems for the Falkland Islands fishing industry, MP warns. And I found this article surprising, given that the Falkland Islands are all the way over here. There's Argentina there. There's, this is Africa, and then you've got Europe. So I'm quite surprised at how much kind of the Falkland Islands do export to Europe. Very surprising. It does also surprise me that the Falkland Islands aren't actually a part of the Trade and Cooperation Agreement as well. It's very odd that the UK didn't include it in. The kind of crown dependencies had to kind of negotiate their own kind of deal, which was very odd. Brexit has brought problems for the Falkland Islands fishing industry, a Labour former Defence Minister has warned. Derek Twigg, chairman of the Falkland Islands All-Party Parliamentary Group, the APPG, said there had been a lot of concern over the impact of the UK's exit from the EU on Falkland Islands fishing exports such as squid. Speaking to the PA news agency as parliamentarians mark 40 years since the Falkland War, the MP for Halton said Brexit has brought problems for the island in terms of the fisheries because their fishery is very much large part of their economy, which makes sense. It's a very small island, particularly squid, the type of squid which is exported to Europe. Work is going on with the Falklands government and countries like Spain and the EU to try and ease those challenges around that because it's such a big exporter. And I do wonder, maybe Spain import a lot of the squid from there. I'm not sure how popular it is. Maybe that's why Spain has been name-checked there. But it's strange that it wasn't included part of the TCA or didn't manage to get its own kind of agreement. Strange. His comments were echoed by Falkland Islands government representative to the UK and Europe, Richard Hislop, who said, when it comes to Brexit, as things stand, there are no obvious benefits to the Falkland Islands. There are, however, a number of challenges. No downsides, considerable upsides. Clearly, the Falklands didn't get the memo. Mr. Hislop said the EU is the main market for the Falkland Islands, despite being that far away. It's very strange. Fishery exports, with exports accounting with more than 50% of their GDP, and was an important market for meat exports as well. And you can see how damaging Brexit is for the Falkland Islands, given that 50% of their GDP comes from fishing. However, since the end of the transition period, the Falkland Islands exports to the EU have been subject to tariffs, he added, with an average of 42% for meat and between 6 and 18% for fisheries exports. And given the transport costs from the Falklands to Europe, you can imagine that these kind of industries weren't the most profitable as is, and with 42% on meat and 6 to 18% on fishing exports, those are large amounts. You're paying almost 50% of the meat on, with a tariff on it. It's just crazy. The very high tariff on meat exports has resulted in the loss of the market, and it's just not viable to export to the EU anymore, while exports of fishery products to the EU are now less profitable. And so a lot of businesses may be thinking, is it worth exporting to the EU again? Mr. Hislop said the Falkland Islands government was exploring a wide range of options, looking at how we can get these tariffs removed. And I think the only way they could do it is via, some sort of bilateral agreements, or if they got a full trade agreement with the EU, which I doubt they're going to get. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It depends how reliant kind of Spain are on the squid from the Falklands. He says, we have already made some limited progress in having the tariff temporarily removed in a small percentage of our exports. The British government said, the British government and British Parliament said, absolutely 100% give their backing to the Falkland Islanders, Mr. Twigg said, adding, our position is very clear that self-determination, sovereignty is absolutely paramount, and in the end the Falkland Islands determine their future and nobody else. Well, clearly the British government decided the future for the Falkland Islands, given how damaging Brexit was for them. And the government can talk about how much they want to help and blah blah blah, but the simple fact is Brexit has damaged the Falkland Islands, which evidently 50% of their GDP comes from fish. They're going to have a rough few years ahead because they've lost one of their major export markets now, or at least it's been reduced dramatically. So the question is, what can be done here? Does anyone know in the comments what the Falklands can do? Because I think apart from getting bilateral agreements or an FTA, a free trade agreement, what else can they do here? There's not much, unless they look for new export markets, which may be a problem given that, South America is not full of the richest countries in the world. I guess North America is an option. The USA, Canada, Mexico maybe, but how much squid can they get, fish in their own countries? And how much taste for squid do they really have? Those are the interesting questions. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.